You shall not kill me tonight.
My main job is the marketing manager, so I'm responsible for the poster and the trailer, basically.
I'm the continuity manager and also the scriptwriter for the film.
My main job is being the costume manager.
My main job is being the main actor of the film. My role is to play the Grandmaster in the film. The Grandmaster is a chess master, and he has a few understudies that he has to attend to, and in the end he gets betrayed by one of them, so he has to fight for his life, sort of.
Well, I am the cinematographer, well actually one of the cinematographers of the film.
Well, I play Jack, which is the main antagonist of this movie, and well, actually I'm the understudy one of the Grandmaster, and actually my identity will be revealed later on.
And I'm Dixon Dick, who's the third understudy of the Grandmaster. And of course my identity will also be changing in the film. And I'm also sort of the antagonist of the film.
My main job is a cameraman.
I'm the composer, so I compose all the music obviously, and I also record it. My main job in this film was being the prop manager.
My main job is the lighting manager.
My main job is the location manager, so I'm responsible for finding the locations for my class for filming.
Well, I'm the sound manager for this film.
Well, my main job is one of the main actors. I'm one of the understudies. Well, my role in the film is kind of minor out of the three understudies, because the dialogues or acts I have to play are less than the other two understudies.
I'm supposed to add sound effects to the film.
Well, I'm the cinematographer.
My main job is the script writer, so most of my work was done last, so before December. I'm the chief editor. Yeah.
Well, being the continuity manager of a film is actually a pretty difficult job, because the filming schedule is pretty long and it's spread out all across the like 6 to 8 months, and throughout this period of time we have to make sure a lot of things don't change, even when we are filming different scenes. Like the setup of this pavilion, the table cannot be moved, and the light in the background, and also lots of things are really important to the film and really affects the audience impression to the film. If there's a tripod in the background, or it's the mirror reflecting the cameraman's shadow, these are very small things, very tiny details, but matters a lot to the impression of the audience.
First of all, we had to cope with the quite intense filming schedule. We had to sacrifice a lot of our own free time, and also the schedule always tend to clash with our own schedule, so we had to make some sacrifices and compromises in that regard. And also a certain member of our production crew, namely the cameraman, often imposes a kind of unrealistic standard on the film, well, which is understandable, but sometimes it causes us to be inefficient to a certain extent, because a lot of times the cameraman decides that many shots are considered to be imperfect in his eyes, well, and actually, but in fact, as this film is being made by students, we should not be so, striving for an unrealistic kind of perfection.
I guess that one particularly difficult prop was trying to find some wine glasses that were within Nobel's budget for the film, because most wine glasses cost about at least $100 per wine glass, but Nobel wanted me to get like 4 wine glasses within $50, which is why I was forced to buy some plastic ones instead of some real glass ones.
There was this one issue when I was working on the poster. There was a pixelation issue, because I used a compressed format in outputting the file, so I fixed the issue later on by using another format. And
this was the person basically. Hopefully you can see it. No.
Utter failure.
There were a few which included not being able to buy certain props at different places because I had to go to find some props or make them by myself because they weren't on sale at any places that I could find. Yeah.
Well, there were a few difficulties during the filming of this movie. Firstly, there was the selection of the location, and I had to strive to think how I could position the microphone during filming, and there were a lot of things to consider. For example, the acoustics, the atmosphere track, the background ambience and noise, and different actors also had different speaking volume levels, so I had to adjust to that, and I had to fix that in the post-filming editing sessions as well.
Well, my main difficulty during filming is probably having to cope with the script and the cameraman's expectations. For example, if they wanted me to perform a face expression, for example, angered or pained, and I just couldn't do it because, well, that's not usually my style of filming. And another thing is the cameraman's expectations. He also wanted to retake shots, and because of the quality, and I had several disputes with him, I have to admit, so that's my main problem.
Oh, difficulties, yeah. Basically, to do anything.
You know, the script was initially, I actually quite liked the script because I'm not a very good writer and I couldn't write a good script, but then when we actually got to the filming, there were some technical difficulties with the script. For example, we couldn't, you know, make the actor slam the chessboard because the chessboard was not allowed to be slammed, and also because of the availability of some actors, we had to cut down and modify the script, and that made things more complicated. Yeah, so, and then some of the words used in the script were not really some words that you would see every day, and you know, it kind of adds some, it reduces the authenticity of the film, but then I'm not the scriptwriter, so that's all I have to say.
It was a very difficult process to choose a plot and a storyline. We had people give their opinions on Facebook, and we ended up with 4 possible plans. Then we asked all the scriptwriters and the actors to vote, and in the end, out of the 4, we chose this chess tournament, which was also my favorite, because the other plans involved, for example, a zombie apocalypse, which I would have trouble writing, and the actors, I think, would have trouble acting as well. So I'm actually quite relieved that we ended up with this solution. As for the character names, I myself did not come up with them. My script initially had names like Main Actor 1, Understudy 1, Understudy 2. I left the decision of the names to the actors themselves, and Dixon Dick was actually chosen by our location manager, not myself. And the other names were chosen by the actors themselves. For example, Keaton wanted to call himself Keaton.
There are so many things that I could change. First of all, maybe I would just, you know, adopt a different job instead of being a director, because, you know, as things turned out, I couldn't contribute the most to the film by being the director. So if I got to change, I have to change something, maybe that would be the most important thing that I would change. Yeah.
Well, I think the film is a pretty fun one. It's not just about power struggle and people trying to overcome each other, or try to just pass each other in terms of their ability or in terms of a lot of things. But we're able to make this concept into reality. The execution, I think, it's amazing.
Well, the microphone cables kept malfunctioning. We went through like 3 or 4 of them, and I believe that we're still having faulty problems sometimes, occasionally, and sometimes it's really hard to get a hold of the hardware to work really well when it's shared by so many classes, I guess.
my other comments on the film will be the efficiency and how we work as a team, because there has been, as Ryan had said before, there has been a lot of disputes between the production team and the manager and the main actors and actors because of the time schedule of both sides. As main actors, we as a lesson I learned that we should give up our time slots, and even when we're not busy, we should sacrifice something for the film, because we can't just make the production team like cope with us every time. So that's a major lesson.
I drew the scene. I drew 2 scenes and used one of them, and I was one of the random guys in the scene, and that's basically it.
Well, you know, our movie heavily features, you know, chess competitions and duels and stuff like that. But then we have a big problem finding audience. Yeah, because people don't really like to come to filming sessions. They avoid it. Yeah, usually. And then when you don't specify that they have to appear, then they usually don't. And as a result, we're left with chess competitions with maybe 2 or 3 spectators, and that doesn't really help the film. Yeah.
I did a few research on the web. I found a few ways that they, you know, put the text and stuff like that, and yeah, basically that helped me a lot.
So at first I tried to tell the actors what costume to bring to the scene, and then I realized that most likely they won't have that costume, and then what I did in the end was that I had them tell me what they had, and then I would choose what is the most suitable for them.
So I have a wholehearted desire for acting, and I enjoy acting. I have the passion to act, because I think out of the jobs provided at the start of the project, I find this role to be the most satisfying, most attractive to me.
First, I researched on different camera models in September to see which camera we're going to use, but then I found that we can use Miss Heather's camera, so yeah, I didn't worry about which camera to buy. And on camera angles and movement, yes, I did do some hands-on practice before each filming session. For example, the most difficult tracking shot, where I have to follow the actors and even move backwards. And yeah, I experimented different times on how should I hold the camera in order to achieve the most steady position, and yeah, that's what I did.
To be honest, I thought it would be a much harder job to nail the perfect clarity and the kind of sound that I wanted to be that I thought would be appropriate for the film, but it turned out to be really good, and there were a lot of things that I were able to correct in the editing film.
I'm quite satisfied with the work because it's beyond my expectations. I thought this film would be kind of a playful thing to do, and it would not live up to the expectation of last year's or Miss Heather, so it turned out quite a success.
For one, the deadline was pretty. I had not much time to write the script, and I still remember I worked until 2 o'clock the night before the submission, and a lot of people had problems with me. Why am I not letting them see how much I've done? What have I done? People have been writing on my walls and saying, go write your script and something. So it was a really process. But in the end, with the help of, I really like to thank actually the composer for helping me to add a bit of spice and work on the script together with me, because it really helped me a lot to finish the script on time. But then after all, I still enjoyed the process.
I would say the first major difficulty I engaged was the filming process. Was the filming process as a whole, because the whole class was not really very united as
how a filming team would be supposed to look like. There was lack of communication between the actors, the group of actors, and the production team, and the roles were assigned should have been assigned clearly, but we did not do our roles perfectly, and we always tried to override into other people's duties. There is another problem. The second problem is that the post-production team had received very few time. Do we use few? Very little time for. Now the editing team received very little time for editing. The editors, the three editors, the composer, no, not the composer, the sound manager, the effects manager, and all the other assistants, the music assistants, the foliage assistants. They all had very little time to prepare the movie because filming was only finished like a few days, really a few days, 5-6 days before the premiere on June 1st, and so that's really really unsatisfactory thing. We still have our exams coming. We have to start getting our revisions, and so it's really difficult for us to manage our time in order to produce a nice movie with a few times editing.
Around April, I started taking pictures for the main actors, and then I basically made the poster. And then because our friendly editor gave us the footage, and then I just trimmed the clips and put them in the trailer, and that's basically all I did.
For every scene, we theoretically need a 3-point lighting. That is, one side was the light should come about here, and one side should come here, and one side should come from the top.
Well, I listened to soundtracks by Hans Zimmer, namely The Pirates of the Caribbean, all 4 of them. I've also listened to Transformers and Gladiator, and their strong chords helped me and inspired me to make the main theme.
Our efficiency is quite appalling, just as I mentioned before. We were quite slow because some people were always interfering with our interviews and also our process. But anyway, that's the first point. The second point I'd like to point out is our organization. The director and the cameraman are both basically controlling the whole filming session, and that is not really a good choice because they don't really consult the actors beforehand, so caused some arguments for the filming sessions from February to March. Luckily I intervened and I consulted the actors afterwards, and the whole things got better. Finally, I'd like to point out the team morale. Sometimes our team morale is not up to standard. For example, during March and April, some of our actors were not fully committed to watch the film, so that hinders our progress. So if I have a second chance, I would improve team morale, efficiency, and organization.
First of all, our lights in the drama storeroom is too strong for any indoor room scenes, and plus they are very heavy, and I cannot bring them outside because I need to return them in one day.
And the second most special filming session is of course the one we had in Yunlong at Ralph's Summer House, because we had a huge fun. At the same time we played football, we played video games like FIFA, and as well as we also had vigorous filming session. We've been there twice actually, and both have been a great success because a large part of the film was actually filmed there. So we finished within 3 days in total, and that's a very special filming session to me.
Well, I had to decide on how the shots are going to be placed, and I have to draw up storyboards or make shot lists to allow the film crew to accurately place the shots.
The script is actually not bad, if you ask me, considering we are a student. We have climax. We have beginning, climax, and the end. It's not like other films from other classes. Some classes are like whole romantic films, just love, or maybe just basketball, maybe a little love.
As a composer, I have encountered some hardware difficulties. For one, the usual mic that we use is not up to scratch for music recording, and most of the high-tech and the best equipment is usually broken or malfunctioning. So it's a challenge to actually get all the music recorded. And as a production assistant, which is my secondary job, the challenge is because none of the other production assistants ever show up generally, so I have to do all 6.
I've provided my own summer house for filming, and I've sacrificed 2 days for it, and I've went to several locations with the production manager, Ryan Mack, for example, to Hotel Nina and the back alleys of DPS to see if the locations are okay for filming.
Because props was an issue, because sometimes the props were never there, or either that or they were broken, and sometimes the equipment is broken as well, so that pretty much ruins the whole thing for us. And a lot of times the unavailability of actors is also a really big issue.
The script is we can add a bit more comedy. Some of the comedy doesn't really make sense, and it's not really humorous enough, like oh holy mother of cow, okay, that is tried to become sarcastic but in the end kind of failed, because that is one of our main selling points of our film. And finally, I'd like to suggest we can add a bit more, how should I put it, spice into our film that can make us the film more tasty.
People were pretty destructive at my summer house. They took out my exam papers and used it as a backdrop for filming, which I find pretty annoying. And actually one of the main actors was sleeping naked on my bed with his shirt off, so I believe that's a nuisance.
Not at all a skillful artist. I guess I'm a mediocre one. I wouldn't count on me to draw the best storyboard in the world, but I think I pulled it off quite well.
Well, first of all, the schedule is quite tight and we can't cooperate because, you know, this year we have a lot of things to do, and also there is also some problems because when we were filming, when we faced the camera, we actually laughed. Yeah, even I don't know why. Well, how about you?
Well, filming was incredibly inefficient, especially like when during those funny scenes, and lots of people would laugh, and then we had to keep retaking it, and then the production crew would argue over just like a 1 or 2 shots for a whole hour, and then it would be so slow. And then the cameraman, as mentioned by the main actor, the cameraman was really finicky about the shots, and then we had to do a lot of retakes.
Well, first I would address to the problem of the very dark screens on the auditorium screen. So I would ask the lighting manager to put more lighting on the darker shots, especially those at night, and that will probably make everything at least viewable. Yeah.
What is the level of satisfaction towards the film?
Level of satisfaction. Well, I guess the major problem of the film is that a lot of times the screen is too dark and you can't see anything. So I guess I'll only give it 7 to the film. Yeah. Out of 10.
Bye bye.
Yes, I did envision the movie to be that way, but of course people have been changing the script according to some practical difficulties, and some people have decided that they want to add a bit of comedic elements, so it's changed that way, but by and large, it is how I envisioned.
I can procrastinate less. I mean, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say this, but I kind of did the storyboards in the last second, you know. She's shaking her head. So yeah, I mean, I can really work harder, to be honest. Yeah.
Well, it's quite different. First of all, I'm not the antagonist in reality, and secondly, I won't do things like murder, something like that. But there are some similar points. The similar points is that first of all, the speaking style is quite like reality, and also the personality is not that similar, because it's the personality of Jack is actually quite is self-absorbed, and yeah, he doesn't listen to any others, and he's quite ambitious. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that I do have some similarities with my character in the movie, because I'm a very helpful person in real life, and I like to help people, like I helped the Grandmaster in the movie, but however, I'm not really that interested in chess, and I'm not supposed to have a sex drive as high as that in the movie. I don't know where that came from.
There are a lot of difficulties I encountered during filming. So first is the coordination with the sound manager. So the sound manager always attempts to put the microphone as close to the actor's mouth as possible, and I have to signal him to move the microphone away from the camera, or else it will be captured on screen, which isn't very good. And there are also some technical difficulties with the camera. So the most major difficulty is that in night scenes there are either too much noise or the screen is too dark, and therefore when projected on the auditorium screen, it happens that the whole screen is black.
I hope it is a successful film, and yeah, I hope that we get the best film prize.
Yeah, and I'm really satisfied with the film. I like the plot, and I think all of the actors did quite well in the movie, and yeah, it's we put in a whole year's effort, and I hope it really comes out successful.
I'm pretty satisfied with our film. I'm pretty satisfied with my film.
I wouldn't say I'm satisfied, but I wouldn't say I'm not. I mean, I think it's incredible in itself that we can pull this whole thing off, but I think we can definitely improve based on our experience.
Well, I'm pretty satisfied with our film. In fact, I'm very proud that it is able to be an execution that's amazingly done, perfectly done, and I really hope people will enjoy the film as much as we do.
I am generally satisfied with the product.
I am satisfied with the product.
I'm satisfied with what we've done, but obviously we have a lot to improve on. Efficiency, as many of them have said, satisfaction, and not being too perfectionist in some cases. There's a lot to improve, and hopefully we'll get to do something like this again, because it's been a great year.
I'm not really satisfied because it's now like near the end of May, and we didn't even complete the filming yet, but I think that the process and stuff look pretty okay.
I am actually not too satisfied with the film, because as I cannot cooperate with the other production crew members very well during the production of the team of the film.
Oh, if 10 the highest, I'd probably give it a 9.
There were
quite a lot of things that I or other people could improve on, but then, you know, what's over, like, everything is already over and done, so, you know, if we had another chance, then I would definitely reflect and try to improve, but for now, I think we really could have done so much better.
No, maybe not.
The shit, can I do that again?